the C-5M Super Galaxy, but there were some limitations on that airplane, and as we see this one take off, let's watch this, Danny. Tell them about the takeoff.
Now, this will be a tactical takeoff. Simulate that we're surrounded by hostile forces. C-17 gets airborne, gets a certain speed, then you'll see it pitch way up to about 20 to 22 or more degrees, much more than any airliner you'll fly on. They're gaining altitude to get out of rifle range from a hostile area outside of their airport, because, Rob, one lone bullet from an enemy rifle could ruin your entire day in a C-17.
Wouldn't want that to happen. This airplane is similar to the ones that are flown at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base these days, but this one came from the 437th Airlift Wing at Charleston Air Force Base in South Carolina, and our flight crew, ta-da! Now, it's a big
whisper pass. According to McDonnell Douglas, there were a total of 279 that were manufactured at Long Beach. 223 of those went to us here in the USA. Other aircraft went to NATO, to Canada, to Qatar, to the United Arab Emirates, to India, to Kuwait, to Australia, and to the United Kingdom. Narrow runway is the ability of this airplane. You don't need a parallel taxiway, you don't need a wide runway, and because of its ability on takeoff and landing on those short airports that have been carved maybe out of a jungle, out of a mountainside, they have increased the landing sites around the globe to about 7,000 more places that they can land this airplane.
Then the C-5.
Going to maintain a high profile.
And the leading edge slats will also come down. It drastically changes the shape of the wing, doing two things. More drag, yes, but a lot more lift. So let's watch it as it comes through, and it's going to be fairly quiet until they clean it up. This is aerodynamically dirty, as they say. The landing gear is extended, leading edge slats, trailing edge flaps are there, and you can look at those flaps and see how they're arranged. It's really a very unique aircraft, having flown for the first time in September of 1991.
Didn't mean to interrupt. There you can see the Venetian line trailing edge. You can see light coming through that, depending on where you're standing. To change the components on the inside of the aircraft, they have all been positioned out of the instrument panel, through the windshield, in the eyes of the pilot. So there's no darting from above, below, which they had to do for many years. Heads-up display, or as it's abbreviated, HUD.
There are 4 computer systems, plus a redundant manual system to control the airplane. It is very advanced for its time, and it allows the pilots to have an added safety measure ×3, actually. Primary flight control system computer, 3 computer backups, and a manual system if they get in trouble and get shot up badly. But watch them as they quickly, that's right into 45 degrees where the bank just wham, just shove that stick over, and the aircraft responds like an aircraft 1/4 the size of it. What are those things on the wings, by the way?
Oh, those are, they're like mud flaps.
You know, you and I have been through this a lot of times. You've never said mud flaps before.
Yeah, but you're retiring, so I had to get a laugh. Oh, no.
Tell me, okay, ladies and gentlemen, before I let Clisham talk more, on the edges of the wings, there are things that you may have seen on an airliner. They are called winglets. They stick up into the air a little bit. On this airplane, they're about 9 feet high, almost like regulation for basketball. What are they about?
Well, that's an invention of the great late Joe Clark. They are called winglets, and they are very effective. They have been retrofitted on corporate aircraft. They have been fitted on airliners, like Rob said, and on modern military aircraft. Those winglets control inefficient air or turbulent air coming off the wings of conventional aircraft wings. They direct it to an efficient method of reducing the drag, which also reduces fuel consumption and increases cruise speed.
The aircraft down and demonstrate how quickly it can land. Now, if you've been on an airliner and have experienced a landing, you will sometimes remember that most of these airliners have what they call thrust reversers, and it turns the jet exhaust around and faces it forward to slow you down. It's noisy and you feel yourself being pushed forward in the seat. Anything that's on the armrest, if there's something there, it goes sailing forward. Don't try to get your phone. We'll get it later. But watch them as they approach at about 140 miles an hour. What you will see on this airplane is that the nacelles, the compartments which hold these F-117 engines, there will be panels that will open up, and you'll see that as they turn on the thrust reversers, taking some of that turbofan air and pushing it forward, like turning a fan around to slow you down.
What if you don't have a wide enough runway to turn around?
Well,
what if you don't have a parallel taxiway?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a demonstration of that as well. Watch carefully. As soon as the aircraft touches down, panels on the nacelles will open up and they will turn the thrust reversers on. From the 437th Airlift Base, South Carolina, touching down, watch for the panels. There they are, and this is about as much noise as this airplane is ever going to make.
Who's the backup member is the eyes. The pilot has a tiller. He keeps the nose wheel right on the center line as best as possible. That's how he keeps or she keeps the airplane from going off to the side.